Hello everyone, watch this review here with a look at the DC Universe Classics Raven from the Validus wave. Personally, a character I had been looking forward to, and, basically a very essential team builder if you're into the Teen Titans. She was basically, I guess, a kind of cornerstone of the team during the 80s run, in fact, being the one responsible for getting the band together to help, to fight her deadbeat dad, Trigon, who actually appeared in a later wave. It's kind of weird that they didn't save her for that wave, but whatever. Now, I guess one of the things that some people might remember her best for is just her run on the Teen Titans cartoon, which of course was popular and ran for a good number of seasons, but more on that later. Let's get Raven out of box. Raven comes with the right leg of Validus, and although I may never build Validus, I probably will end up using the piece for a composite collect and connect, as well as a pin of a mysterious lady in blue who looks vaguely familiar. As for Raven herself, this is more of the look that she sported during the older appearances during the 80s. One of the big things about the character is that her age is always semi-inconsistent, in that she can look sort of old, but in other appearances she's really young. I don't really understand how that works. I mean, the more recent ones, she looks like she might be like 16 or 17 or whatever. I don't know, I mean, plus a lot of that's also reboots. Now, whereas I had to buy this one online because it's basically the only figure from the wave I never even saw in stores, mine has a defect here in the costume where there's a paint chip. But I believe that's the only major flaw with this one. Now, as for the whole looks for this character thing, I know that a lot of people are a little fond of her costume from the Teen Titans cartoon, and personally I would have also liked to have seen that as maybe a variant, even though it kind of would have been a sort of crazy variant. In fact, if they did like a whole line of figures at some point where they kind of have the costumes and looks from the show, that would be sort of neat, because the figures that they released back then for the actual cartoon really sucked. But yeah, we're not really talking about that. Let's talk about this figure here, which, I mean, honestly, some things I don't really care for, like this cloak, for instance. I wish that she had gotten something maybe a little bit more traditional than had maybe something like this as a variant cloak, or, as an added accessory or something. But, no such luck. Now, the cape, I believe, is removable, but if you manage to pull it off, you still have this really ugly spot in her back here where this giant peg that pegs into the cape would be exposed. And it's absolutely ginormous, which is sort of an issue. I mean, I guess other than the whole cape issue, I mean, it does look like a pretty decent figure. And because of the costume here, you can't see the somewhat awkward groin area, where you have like the little separation and stuff. And I don't know, for some reason too, you don't have the little side segment here for the outward movement, although she has the outward movement. Now, if they have the capability to do that without that little ugly point, I'm not sure why they don't just do that more often. For instance, here's Superman, who has the same point that a lot of the other characters will have, where, you can see this little thing here, which she lacks. Very nice touch. Other than that, though, I guess kind of standard DC Universe classic. She has all the sort of standard points of articulation and everything, including, but not limited to, point of rotation here at the wrist. Also the softer fingers like we've seen on Cheetah. single point here at the elbow, rotating bicep, ball jointed shoulder, not as impeded by the cape as you would expect, or cloak. Head rotates, I guess a tiny bit of forward back motion, just a little surprising. You have an ab crunch, which I haven't actually worked in yet. I think mine might actually be defective too, just from the fact I can't really get much motion there. Point of rotation at waist, ball jointed leg, or, well, the same range as the ball jointed leg. It's actually technically those 2 points as usual. Point of rotation right above the knee here. Single joint knee, then a single joint here at the ankle. Feels like there's a bit of a pivot, but I don't think that's intentional. And now I guess the kind of neat thing about this is that the cape helps best balance out her poses. I mean, a lot of the female figures do have some trouble standing at times just because they have different shoe types and then thinner joints at the legs and stuff, but you know, you can get a pretty large range of poses and stuff. Some, like in this case, look a little weird, but the cape just helps to balance that out, which I guess is the sort of one plus to it. Now, I'm really not sure how this would impede her for flying poses. I mean, I guess you can kind of get to look like she's getting ready to take off and stuff there, but I mean, this kind of would get in the way of flight stands. And again, yeah, it's just a really soft rubber for this portion, thicker rubber for the cloak. All in all, you know, I guess I'm happy with this figure. I mean, there are a few things that they could have done differently, like given us a different looking cloak, like maybe a standard, or I mean, alternatively, they could have also done other versions of the cloak where you'd have one that goes out farther to either side, like really expands and stuff. Actually, that probably would have been neat if they had done a variant for this figure, and they could have also done the shadowed face version where, you know, often the character will be depicted as having this shadow that covers the upper portion of her face. But of course, I believe the variant for this wave was Starman and Legion. No, not Legion. Shoot, why am I calling him Legion? OMAC. Wait a second. OMAC didn't have a variant. OMAC, I wish, had a variant because they could have done the modern OMAC. It was actually Martian Manhunter that had the variant, and they don't do more than 2 variants a wave in most cases. I mean, Martian Manhunter's variant should have just been stuff that would be included with his pack anyway, which is kind of bogus. Starman, of course, got a legit variant, which I haven't actually seen in the stores either, so I need to pick that up. But, I mean, yeah, they could have definitely done a variant for this character, and yeah, the one thing I didn't mention is I believe that this was the... Just check the box and see if it's on there. I think this was a collector's choice. I can't remember, though. Yeah, actually, I'm fairly sure it was the collector's choice, even though it's not listed on the box anywhere, which is a little bit weird, but she won the second poll. But at any rate, this has been a look at Raven from the Validus wave. That's wave... Wait, that was like wave 15, wasn't it? So actually, the Trigon wave came before this, which makes it doubly weird that they didn't just toss her in with the Trigon wave. Especially whereas the Question, who previously won the Fans' Choice, came out in like wave, what was 11? So yeah, I'm just not sure what the heck goes on with this series half the time, but it's been a look at Raven. You know, pretty decent figure. Minor complaint here and there. But yeah, until next time, folks. Now, I didn't mention this, but she has little portions of shadowing and stuff that you might not be able to see with the camera here, especially at the waist area. Then it sort of goes down the front of the tunic. Other than that, you know, there's a bit of shadowing on the back, but, you know, basically flat colors. Thankfully, they did get these skin tones right. And also, this is more of a cool pose that you can get with the character, like with these stepping forwards, just because you have the cloak to balance it out.